Good morning, afternoon, and evening, wherever you are, and welcome to our Titans review for season 3, episode 5, called Lazarus. We basically get the Red Hood's origin story. I am joined here by Gary, the boss man, Lazarus Pitt himself. How are you, my friend?
I'm great.
All right, and I'm pimping out my Nightwing shirt, even though Nightwing was nowhere to be seen in this episode, but I don't care because I love Nightwing. So we're just going to jump right into it. So this episode was essentially the origin of the Red Hood from when Jason left the Titans at the end of season 2 up to the moment and beyond when he got killed by the Joker and then came back. So, all right, everybody, have a good weekend. Bye. So, Gary, what were your overall thoughts about this episode? Since you are
initially,
our DC man.
initially, I thought I wasn't going to be a fan of this because usually when it's flashback episodes, you're like, "Ugh, really? We have to go back into the past." But this was done so well that I actually grew to like it. Because I don't know about you, but I particularly didn't care for the actor they have playing Scarecrow because he's a little. Because whenever I think Scarecrow, they're usually like the thinner guys, because whenever you see them portrayed in anything, they're always like very gaunt, almost like I don't want to say like vampiric, but almost like the very thin, very wiry sort of guys like Killian Murphy, or the way that he's played in the Arkham Asylum, the Arkham series,
Yeah, he's very skinny in that.
or in the animated series. He's always like been like stick thin, but this guy is a little bit more heavy set. But it kind of works for the sort of like for the tone they're going for here, where it's a bit more adult. This guy does seem like a legitimate threat. Like he's got a good voice to him. He has a very commanding presence. Whenever he's on the scene, you want to like watch him more. I've actually come around to thinking that he's actually really, really good as the Scarecrow. At first I wasn't a big fan, but now I've actually come around to it. I don't know why it is. I think it might be the whole presentation of it because I've not actually seen him in the whole get up. But I thought this was a tremendous episode. That initially, again, I was not a fan of, but again, I grew to be a fan of. And if you were going to see me, is this the weakest episode of the season 4? I'd say no. Actually, it's not. It's probably one of the stronger ones because it's a character study, not just of Jason Todd, but of Batman and how much he was evolving. Because we got to see Ian Glenn. Because I know that you and Sam are a big fan of Ian Glenn, but I thought Ian Glenn's performance in this was really, really good. The times we got to see him.
Well, and here's what I want to add about Ian Glenn though is that it's never been about his performance, it's always been about his look. I feel like he looks too old to be a Batman in the Jason Todd era. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, if this was like the Dark Knight Returns Batman, I could see it because he looks much older, but the actor right now who's playing he just doesn't look like he could handle himself in a fight as well because he looks almost frail at some points. So that's my whole issue with that actor. Not the fact that his performance is pretty good. I mean, I honestly felt like he would have made a better Alfred than Batman.
Okay.
So I mean, I don't have any problems with him. Anyway, go ahead.
But yeah, this was a tremendous episode, and I think that the fact that I started off so negatively and I turned around on it shows you how good of an episode it actually is. Because if I came in this thinking, oh, it's going to be a good episode and it was crap, it would have been worse. Whereas this is the opposite round. I didn't think it was going to be any good, but I really grew to like it at the end. So it shows you that this was a really, really good episode. So,
And I agree with you. I actually think that what's the actor's name? Ian what?
England.
Ian Glenn. I really feel like his performance did really shine in this episode, especially with him basically saying, "I made a mistake. You need to talk to this person. You're grounded until you talk to this person." Like, he's a conflicted Batman, and we don't have that a lot. But that's why I say it seems like he should be an older Batman because he would be more conflicted after all these years. But I really did like the way that they presented this whole thing, and the way that we haven't seen a lot of Batman and Jason Todd interaction. Like, in the first and second season, we've seen Batman in the second season. That's when he debuted. But we did see Dick Grayson and Bruce Wayne. We did not see a lot of interaction between Jason Todd and Dick Grayson, or Jason Todd and Bruce Wayne. So it was good to kind of see that interaction between the two of them and see how they bounced off of one another. Which honestly, it was pretty good, I thought. I can't really peg a weakest episode in this series, in this season just yet. But I would definitely say this one left me the most wanting because I didn't like the way they went about the death. Well, I didn't like the post death and resurrection of Jason Todd. I really felt in this episode that they rushed it. But we said that in the first episode when we're like, okay, wait, this just happened like a couple days ago, and now the Red Hood shows up. Like they're rushing the whole thing, and this kind of that's what kind of is the problem here, is that they're rushing a lot of the elements of Red Hood. And as I said, I don't want them to like go away for a season, but they could have made it like a year has passed since the end of season 2, because it legitimately has. The end of season 2 happens 1 year later. And then, or at the end of season 2, he dies. Then 1 year later, the Titans are big in San Francisco, and then all of a sudden, this Red Hood shows up. But this all takes place over the span of 3 weeks, is what it seems like, because it said 3 weeks ago. So I mean, it's only a couple of weeks since this whole thing started. So I don't know. I really have an issue with that. I feel like it's taking away from the Red Hood character and Jason Todd as the Red Hood. I mean, we got 2 whole seasons until we got Nightwing. They could have given us a little bit of time to and I mean, everybody knows that Jason Todd's Red Hood. I'm glad they didn't keep that secret for long, but they could have left us wanting with that one a little bit more.
Okay,
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, no, I get what you mean, because you would a bit more. What's the word? You would a bit more character development, maybe a bit more of see the stuff, the crimes that the Red Hood was doing before the confrontation. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I feel. Well, here's the thing. I feel like the first 2 episodes of Titan should have been more about maybe like one-off villains, but then there's like some mystery going on in the background. Like either the villains are being killed or there's something going on in the background, and it's Red Hood. But the Red Hood's not revealed until the end of episode 3, instead of him being revealed at the end of, what was it, episode 1? Or beginning of episode 2? One of the 2.
It's beginning of episode 2.
So I feel like maybe if we would have waited to reveal Red Hood at the end of episode 3, I feel like have him doing things in the background maybe would have given him a little bit more of an ominous feel. But it just feels like he's like a guy at 2:00 at a bar. He's taking whatever and he's just hitting it to quit it. Like he jumped in there so fast it wasn't even funny.
But I mean, it's funny that the Titans has gone from being like the worst thought of like DC series to be one of the best thought of for DC series. And it's just because I think the writing has taken a bit of an uptick in quality, in my opinion. And I don't know how you feel about it, but
I didn't hate the first season as much as everybody else did. I thought it had major issues. Don't get me wrong. But I didn't hate it. Second season I thought was a vast improvement, and then third season's even more of an improvement. So, I mean, I feel like Titans. I mean, compared to let's compare it to CW. I haven't watched Stargirl. I know, but from what
we've had a conversation about that.
Huh?
We've had a conversation about that.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I haven't seen Stargirl, so it's like I can't say about that one. But it is that I think Titans right now is technically one of the best DC shows on right now.
Oh, it is.
Only edging out, I want to say Superman and Lois, because Superman and Lois is really good.
Superman and Lois is really good, and so is this, and so is Stargirl. So I think that they're starting to put the trend of the CW just been having shit shows. I mean, The Flash has gone really bad, which is a shame because that show used to be really good, but it's just good. So I don't say the word formulaic, but I think I'm going to have to say it formulaic. This is total the opposite of that. This entire episode was a great character study of Jason Todd, because in the comics it's done I mean, the Red Hood isn't a well-received character. Let's just be perfectly honest. I don't know about you, Cheeto, but again, I know a few people who don't really care for the Red Hood character. Spoilers if you've never played the Arkham games, but he's also the Arkham Knight in that, and it's equally bad, worse. Like that, I spoiled what a 6-year-old, 7-year-old game at this point. But yeah, it's a really what's the word? Poor. But again, this was a total great because we got to see that he isn't all about Batman. That he's got this girlfriend whose name I can't quite remember. That he wants to try and take down drug dealers as Jason Todd. He gets a crap beating out of him, even though like he was sprayed by Batman.
Well, I think it was child trafficking, wasn't it? Or was it? It was some kind of they were taking children, is what it was. Because remember when he was the Red Hood and he came back, he brought the kid to her house and he said, she's one of the good ones. So I think they were either doing like sweatshops with the kids or like human trafficking. I wasn't 100% clear on that, but
okay. But anyway, we got to see him getting the crap kicked out of him by whatever that guy's name was. I didn't quite catch it. Anyway, you got to see the crap beaten out of him by that guy, and then like this entire the entire backstory of him like connecting with a bad guy from the Road Gallery, and then we got to see his mind being changed. That he's using this anti-fear toxin and stuff like that. But I imagine that it's got like some psychotic elements to it, and maybe it's been twisted his mind somehow. But I don't know. As I said, this episode was really great. I mean, I thought I was going to hate it. I know I actually really, really liked it. So that's what I thought.
For me, it was middle of the road. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I did like the Jason Todd elements, but like the random pull of Lazarus at the basement of Arkham Asylum, that didn't bug you? And then Scarecrow was like, oh, and I know it's in one of the Arkham games, but it's this random pool of Lazarus, like right in the basement of Arkham Asylum. And it's just like, nobody's caught this. Nobody's, the one pool that Batman missed. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. Like I would have believed
it was a bit plot convenient. I will agree with you on that one. But again, it's something that because the rest of the writing had been so good that I let slide.
Okay. I did not, as I said, this episode was about middle of the road for me. This one might be the weakest one for me so far this season. I have to go back and look at the other 4 episodes because last week's was more about hunting the Red Hood down and after what's his face after Hawk. Yeah, Hawk had been killed. So there were some good bits in that episode. It's not the fact that it was a flashback that hurt it for me. It's just there were some plot conveniences in there that just were like, okay, now wait a minute. Like a pit in the basement of Arkham and nobody's caught it. Like, okay, like you're kind of pushing this one out, really hard. I do like the fact that Scarecrow's involved because he's using psychology and stuff like that. And I also agree with you that the actor who's playing Scarecrow is growing on me because when I first saw him in the first or second episode, I was like, what? Like that's
it's a little bit heavy.
Yeah, well, it's not even that. It's just, well, I mean, yeah, it is that because you, as you said, you imagine Scarecrow is kind of like a lanky, skinny guy. But you just kind of imagine, like, he looked like what's his face? Who's the bearded guy in all the movies? I don't remember now. Not Seth Rogen, but the other one.
What's his name? Zach Galifianakis.
Yeah, Zach Galifianakis or whatever his name is. That's who he reminds me of with the beard and everything. So I really, I'm liking Scarecrow more, like you said. But I really feel like as I said, I don't mind it being a flashback, but I felt like this episode took it a step back a little bit because we saw none of the Titans, which I understand because this is a character study of Jason Todd. But at the same time, I don't feel like there was enough here to warrant nothing. Like we didn't see anything of the Titans. So, and it was kind of nice to see Jason Todd after the beating he took, right? Because they actually showed him like, when they pulled him out of the body bag, see what he looked like, but which was kind of grotesque. But
Oof.
it was also nice.
I thought
Go ahead.
I was going to say but I thought, as I said, it was just good to see a better depiction than was in the comics, because again, a lot of people do not care for Jason Todd in the comics. I mean, I personally do, but again, that's a personal thing for me. But
what are you talking about? Red Hood? Or are you talking about Jason Todd's Robin?
I'm talking about the Red Hood.
Okay.
Because I actually preferred, liked this version of the Red Hood, because you can kind of get where he comes from. That he'd finally found a place with Bruce, but Bruce had taken what he loved away from him, and he didn't get the fact that Bruce just wanted him to be, maybe he just wanted to go about fighting the war in a different way. And I thought, well, that was actually really good writing there, because I don't think we really investigate that probably Bruce Wayne could probably do a lot of good in the world just as Bruce Wayne. He doesn't really need to be Batman, to solve a lot of the issues that Batman tries to solve.
Yep. Okay, so the next thing, what did you think about the trophy case that Jason Todd got into? We saw Two-Face's coin, obviously the fear toxin and the mask. We saw Joker. I think it was a Joker card.
Yeah.
And it's actually really funny because not too long ago in Batwoman, they also revealed Batman's trophy case, which had a lot of the same items in there, including I think it was the umbrella from the umbrella from the Penguin, the squirt thing, the squirt flower from Joker, and including the fear toxin was in there too. So I mean, I find it funny that these trophy cases, and they were pretty similar. So it's like it's almost like people think the same way about Batman and his trophy cases. I think there was other things in there, but I didn't really take that close of attention to anything else from being seen. I didn't see anything from the Riddler, and maybe I missed it. Maybe it's like in the background a little bit, and I just missed it. But Riddler's my favorite Batman villain, so I was kind of sad he wasn't in there.
Yeah, same here. As I said, I do think it is like comic book. What's the word?
Accurate.
Accurate. Yeah, I think it is accurate to the comic book, because I do recall that he has like a lot of collectibles of particular schemes that the villains have done and stuff like that. I just collect, but again, it is like a thought of how much is Batman bringing into the world by being Batman. Because I tell you, I watched recently was Batman Begins, and Batman Begins talks about it being like a wall of escalation. That he escalated stuff, and that the criminal reaction was the Joker. And I thought that's quite an interesting idea. And I think that what Jason Todd is in this film is as a reaction to Bruce Wayne and the way that he wants to do this new fight. That it's like, no, the old ways has to be the way and stuff like that. And that's the reason he's gone against the entirety of Bruce's everything that Bruce cares for, basically.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was interesting to see all those trophies in there and everything like that. I'm surprised we didn't see Barbara Gordon before the incident happened. You know what I mean? She was nowhere in this episode to be seen, and I thought we would at least see her in this episode in some capacity. By the way, I have to go back and say that the actress because Zam said, or you said, Gary, at one point that it looked like she only had one leg. And I said, no, I think her legs just crossed or whatever. No, she actually only has one. The actress only has one leg. So, I mean, but my bad on my part. I just didn't look into it. I just assumed that her legs were crossed or something. We just couldn't see her leg. But
it could be that the actress herself has the CGI'd it out.
No, yeah, I researched it. She does. She's missing a leg. The actress is missing a leg. Oh. So, from a car accident.
Well, that's good. I think it's good that they've cast somebody with an actual disability to play somebody with a disability, and it's not just some actor in a wheelchair. They've actually got somebody who's actually.
The only issue I would have with it, and as I said, it's not it's a nitpick, not anything, but it's like in the comic books, Barbara eventually gets to go back into the bat suit.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that she got the part, because it is good to see that people with disabilities get parts. But at the same time, it's like, well, we'll never get Batgirl. And honestly, we'll never get any Batgirl in flashbacks unless they do a recast. Like, not recast, but, like a younger version.
A different actor.
Yeah, a different actor. Yeah. So, I mean, that's my only nitpick. But as I said, I'm glad she's getting work, and I'm glad that she's. And honestly, if they did do that, I'd understand why. Like I wouldn't be mad about it. If they had to cast a younger version of her to be Batgirl. So yeah. Okay, so we get to the Red Hood of it all, or I'm sorry, we get to the Joker of it all, where he visits Crane, and then Crane says, and then he does the whole chemistry set thing, and he figures everything out, and then Crane says, now we have to test it out on your, Batman's biggest nemesis. So at this point, Crane's figuring out who Batman is. At least that's how I took it. Now, I know when he woke up from the dead, he said Bruce. So, I mean, I don't know but I assumed at that point he already knew that it was Bruce Wayne, from putting stuff together. I mean, what are your thoughts on that kind of not rabbit trail, but like that descent into madness that Jason Todd was doing with the anti-fear toxin and, being manipulated by Scarecrow and all that other stuff?
I thought it was really, really good stuff because again, I think it was like Zam last week compared it to Hannibal Lecter. That's very Hannibal Lecter, using what he cares about against him, stuff like that. And, that he figured, I mean, I don't particularly care for it when a bad guy figures out who a hero is, unless you're going to tell a compelling story with that. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like, it can depend on how good the writing is. Like, because usually, the worst examples of it I'm trying to think of, the first Spider-Man film, like when Willem Dafoe figures out who Peter Parker is, or they did it again in Homecoming and stuff like that. I didn't really pertain to that. Here,
well, they did it in Spider-Man 2 also, and I didn't like that Doc Ock found out that Spider-Man was Peter, and I know it was towards the end, or was it towards the end?
It was exactly the end because he pulled off his mask.
Yeah, I just, and they do that in the Flash all the time too, and that drives me bonkers. Where he's like, oh, I gotta get the bad guy to trust me. Here's my identity. I just want one time for the Flash or anyone to do that, and it happened in Justice League, the cartoon, but I want it to happen in a movie where like they take their mask off and they're gonna be like, who the heck are you? Like,
we took into account I don't even know who this is.
Yeah, when Lex Luthor was in the mind of the Flash, and like the Flash, he goes in the bathroom and he's looking in the mirror, he's like, well, at least I can find out who the Flash is. And he pulls the mask off and he's like, I have no idea who this is. It's just like, it was one of the best parts of Justice League. I laughed so hard.
Oh yeah, so yes, but again, this I thought was fine because the thing is that you got to see the sort of psychotic break that Jason had gone on. Since because again, the Lazarus Pit, from what I understand about it in the comics, and I think they've done it the same here, does cause some mental degradation and cause you to go insane. I think that's what kind of causes Ra's al Ghul's, particular Nietzschean idea of how to solve the world's problems.
Yeah, I mean, Ra's al Ghul, they've said that in the comics, in the games. When you go into the pit, you come out a little bit. You come out healed, but you have a little bit less of yourself in you. So yeah, you slowly go insane after time. I think what will happen is they'll probably use the anti-fear toxin and the Lazarus Pit, the Lazarus effect, and they kind of merge those two together and say, oh well, they probably just bounced off of one another and accelerated that insanity process, and that's why Jason Todd turned into like a psycho killer. Even though I think he was well on his way there the past 2 seasons of Titans. I mean, honestly, Jason Todd, I'm not surprised is going around killing people. After meeting Jason Todd in season 1 and 2 of Titans, I'm like, yeah, this guy could definitely just tip the other way and just go. The other thing I really liked is the fact that Scarecrow's a smarter. They're showing Scarecrow as a smarter villain than just being gas. They're actually doing like Scarecrow knows that he knows who Batman is, and he's gonna use that to manipulate at the right time. He's not just going to go around Arkham Asylum going, Bruce Wayne's Batman, Bruce Wayne's Batman, because he's just, he knows that he wants to hold it over, because if he reveals it, there, he has nothing over Batman, but he knows, so that means he might have something over Bruce Wayne and Batman, obviously. So I really thought that was interesting. And that's one of the things I liked about it, is that, Scarecrow wasn't like all, he wants that information for his gain, not everybody else's.
Well, I think that's something that I'd like is that the fact that this particular episode dealt with is how clever the Scarecrow is, because the thing is that even though I like Cillian Murphy's portrayal, this is the more sadistic and like coolly methodical, because again, here you get to see the fact that he is this particular type of maniacal villain, whereas like beforehand he's just been like just like pulls out the gas, and that's his main thing. But here he's actually using like manipulation. He's using what he knows about Batman to his advantage. He keeps on saying the right things at the right time. And sure, I found this particular villain very thrilling in a good way. Again, I never thought I'd say that sentence about
Scarecrow.
Because Scarecrow to me has always been his main thing is fear, but he's not really using fear in this. He's using what he knows about Batman and his tactics against him.
Yeah,
and I
say he uses manipulation more than he uses the fear toxin at this point. I mean, so yeah, I mean, and that's good to see that he knows psychological studies. He knows how people operate. It's not, everyone shows Scarecrow as like this guy that runs around and uses his gas to make people fear. But even the shrink in this episode, I can't remember her name, but she said Tompkins, yeah. She's like, no, I knew Jonathan Crane when he was a brilliant undergrad or whatever he was. Like he was a genius in psychological studies. Like he knew what he was doing, and it's like it makes sense that he would be this very smart like Dr. Crane, and I kind of like the route they're going with him. Okay, so we got up to the Joker. Joker kills Jason Todd. They get him in the Lazarus pit. Wakes up. We did all that already. So he gets the Red Hood, and then Red Hood is just manipulating the heck out of Scarecrow is manipulating the crap out of Jason Todd still, even in the Red Hood persona, because that's just what he does. And I really like this dynamic here because it shows Jason Todd is just like, he's kind of an amateur at this. He's not some like, the Red Hood in the comic book is kind of like almost a professional assassin in some aspects. Whereas in this one, he's just a really well-trained vigilante. Kind of, just like I still question whether he could beat Nightwing or not in an actual fight. But I mean, I feel like the route they're going with him right now, that Scarecrow's been pulling all the strings rather than Jason Todd makes a little bit more sense, because Scarecrow would know more of how to manipulate Batman and manipulate Dick Grayson and all that other stuff. And, and so Jason Todd is more of a pawn in that scheme. My big question is, though, I mean, okay, so we know that Jason Todd has kind of gone a little crazy and everything, but will Jason Todd be redeemed at the end? He did freaking kill Hank. And honestly, I don't want him to be redeemed. I don't want him to join the Titans after this. If he doesn't die, I want him to, if he doesn't die, I want him to go away, go elsewhere, because I don't think there's no way that he can be on the Titans team after doing what he did.
I totally 100,000% agree, because the thing is that he's not only Jason Todd anymore. He's totally mentally flipped because again, I agree with what you were just saying about the Lazarus Pit versus the Isaiah toxin has basically become like this entire thing concoction that has basically driven him over the edge.
Yeah.
I think that he is absolutely 1,000% the best. That he's not going to. It's a shame because again, I didn't initially like this actor, Jason Todd. I'm going to be 1,000% honest with you, just because he was doing my head in, because he had this like natural cocky sort of like attitude that reminds me a lot of people that I live around. So he rubbed me the wrong way, like but as the seasons have gone on and I've got to know him, especially this season, he's grown on me substantially. So I love him to like come back as like a recurring villain role, or maybe like an anti-hero role. I don't know, but I agree 1,000% he can't come back to see that.
Yeah, I mean, if he does survive to the end, which I kind of hope he does, but if he does survive, I wouldn't mind him coming back for like an episode next season when they do the typical Batman episode, where the Bat crew gets together and they go do their adventures or whatever. But I mean, no, he can't. If he joins the Titans at the end of this season, I mean, he hasn't grown on the Jason Todd actor hasn't grown on me as much as he probably has you. But I don't mind him at this point. Like, I've kind of learned to tolerate him. Like in the first season, he was just this arrogant little asshole kid. Reminded me a lot of Damien, actually. I was more like, this is Damien. This ain't. And I mean, Jason Todd was an angry kid. I get that. So
instead of being the son of the Batman, he's the son of Satan.
Pretty much, yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, even with everything being revealed about the origins of the Red Hood, I mean, I don't think there's enough foul play in place for me to believe that he's actually redeemable, or that he should be redeemable, because I know that he's gone over the edge, but it's not like Scarecrow's controlling him. I mean, I know he kind of has that fear, the anti-fear toxin that he was holding over his head, I guess, but still, like, I still feel like that he's not redeem. I don't feel like he's redeemable. Like, if he hadn't killed Hawk, I'd say maybe he can be, like a vigilante that shows up every couple episodes or something like that. But no, not now. Like, after killing Hawk, I feel like it's done, and I'm kind of sad that Dove is gone. Like, I know that we're, with none of this was in this episode, but it's like I was kind of hoping that we would get more with Dove, because Dove just kind of left for Paris, and it's like, look, I know that Paris is great, but
I wish she would come back.
Either that, or maybe her leaving for Paris was a red herring, and then she, as I said, there was rumor of her coming back as a different character, and the rumor was Huntress. Like,
that could be interesting.
So yeah, she comes back, and like, they don't know who she is, but she's Huntress. She changes her hair, and she's back, and like, all of a sudden there's this Huntress character hunting the Red Hood. So I mean, that so her leaving might have been a red herring. That's the rumor. It may not be. I don't know. I like the Dove actress. I think she's really good.
What Mickey Keller?
Yeah, I really think she's really good in that role, and I feel like she's a good sounding board for Nightwing, and other members of that team, even Corey. Like Starfire. I really feel like a lot of characters on that show bounce well off of her. She's very soft spoken, but she's like very present and has a leadership command about her. Like, she's definitely on that Titans team. I don't feel like Starfire is the second in command. I feel like Dove is the second in command. She's the one who has the steady hand. Her and Nightwing. So I really hope she comes back. I really hope that and I think it'd really be cool if they did the Huntress angle with her. I think she'd make a good Huntress, or at least temporarily, until because I mean, the bird outfit was a bit, and I get it. It's a superhero show and everything, but like the big white and blue outfit running around like in the middle of the night, like, you're not really sneaking very much with the white outfits. So, and that might be the point. I don't know. But anyway, so let's start wrapping things up here, Gary. What moving forward from here? Now we know the Red Hood origin story. Now we know Crane's role in this. Where do you think it should go from here?
I think it'll go where we'll see the Scarecrow suit up. So because we haven't really seen it in this, I don't think unless you can remember when they have, because I can't particularly recall.
On the thumbnail of this video, there was an image of the actor who plays Scarecrow in the show. He doesn't have his beard, but then there's also an image of Scarecrow. Now I don't know if that's an image from like Gotham or something like that, because I didn't watch Gotham, or if it's like a photo of him in the Scarecrow outfit. It kind of looks like the mask that was in the Batcave. So that's why I was like, it might be him, but I'm like, it's Scarecrow, like whatever, I'll throw it on there. I don't, half of me wants him to suit up. The other half of me kind of doesn't. I kind of like the route they're going with Scarecrow, where he's not the masked villain. He's just, the psychological mastermind that's behind the Red Hood.
I mean, I agree to some extent, but it'd just be cool just to see, what this actor looks like in that getup.
I wonder, or what if they did it? And I know this is gonna make you cringe, but I wonder if they did it in a flashback, like where he was remembering where like the Scarecrow got captured last time, and it shows either Jason Todd or even Dick Grayson in the Robin costume, and then we see Batman kind of doing the shadowy thing or whatever, because they never want to show him in the actual bat suit. They just use shadows and stuff, but then it shows like Jason Todd or Dick Grayson like tying him up or something like that, and he's in the suit. Like, would you want that, or was that not good enough?
No, that'd be fine. As I said, it's just because I think that like it'll just be good just to see what he looks like in it. Because I think that
I just feel like if he gets in the costume now, it'll make him look goofy, and maybe it won't. I mean, Scarecrow is kind of a freaky villain, but I feel like it'll make him look goofy at this point. I'm actually liking like the Hannibal Lecter type of Hannibal look that he's got going on right now, especially if he gets rid of that beard. If you look at the thumbnail on this one, like he does look like he could be like a younger version of
Brian Cox.
No, the guy who plays Hannibal on the TV show. What's his name?
Oh, Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah, Mads Mikkelsen. He looks like he could be a younger version of him. So I really like the route they're going with Crane in this one, and it makes Crane a legitimate villain. I feel it makes Crane feel like a legitimate villain, because like in Arkham Knight, he was a legitimate villain. I feel like here he's also a legitimate villain, and that's actually really a good point. I just now realized that in Arkham Knight, Scarecrow and Red Hood teamed up, and in this one, Scarecrow and Arkham Knight teamed up. It's a little bit different, but still, I just realized.
No, it's just like as I said, I just would like to see it, just like for the end fight or whatever. Just like if everybody's thrown out, maybe falls out like some fear toxin and like Red Hood's mask, filters that out for him. So I'd love to see that. I'd also love to see maybe like Barbara Gordon, like maybe like there's some way that she grows as a character. Because I love to see the fact maybe she grows past the fact that her dad died to Mr. Freeze and stuff like that. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see Batman come back, not as Batman, but Bruce Wayne come back and just maybe we see that as the start of maybe Chain Break, or maybe even because this is a storyline that maybe we start seeing him have heart problems, because then that would lead on to a big suggestion that we're going to see Batman Beyond, that which I wouldn't be averse to seeing, so maybe that they hint at that. I'm trying to think, but the thing is, I'm trying to think like they could like build to whoever's going to be the villain next season, because again, I think that's one thing they haven't really done that well, is building up to who the villain's going to be. Because the thing is, I know Trigon was a villain in the first season, and then it was a little bit of the second season. But I'd love to see them like build to whoever it's going to be, whether it's going to be Brother Blood, or it's going to be so maybe like he interacts with Red Hood, whoever the villain from next season is going to be. I mean, I'd love to see that, because then it is a continuation of the storyline, and also we've already been introduced, so we know how dangerous this guy is. That maybe like he's the guy who like sets up things for the Red Hood, like he gets him some equipment, or maybe like he gives him like some way of like manipulating stuff. Like I mean, the person I want to see is a gargoyle or the wildebeest and stuff like that. So because they're proper like old school. What do you think? What would you like to see?
And well, one thing I do want to point out that I forgot to earlier, and it kind of ties into what I want to see is Donna Troy was in this episode. Remember, Jason saw Donna Troy when he was dead. But
Ooh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, so she made her first appearance in this season, and I hope that we get Donna Troy back. I really like Donna. As I said, there's so many good females on this series, like Donna Troy and Dove, and I mean Starfire is really good. I didn't like her in the first season, but second and third season she's kind of grown on me. So we got some really good female characters here that I really want to see. And Donna Troy just something like it seems like a no-brainer. I mean, come on, it's basically Wonder Girl, But I would like to see Donna Troy come back. I don't care for Raven that much. I feel like she ran her usefulness out in season 1. I know. I mean, I wouldn't mind her there, like as like Beast Boy is kind of like just a character of the Titans.
But I'd say, but could she not be another redeemable character? Because I think we both said that there's characters in here that we didn't particularly care for initially, but because the writing's improved significantly, we've grown to care about them. So could she not be another one where the writing was just poor for the first season when she was on it, but because the writing's improved, therefore she could be redeemed as a character? Because she's a fascinating character in the comics, but I don't think that's...
Raven?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no. I'm not... I just don't care for her in the season 1. And season 2, she was not used very well. She was kind of just like Beast Boy's partner in crime, I guess. Where, I mean, honestly, that's Superboy this season. I mean, Beast Boy and Superboy are kind of like hanging out all the time. So I wouldn't, as I said, I wouldn't mind her there. I don't really need a ton of her there. So
no, I got what you mean.
So, so I think that kind of wraps it. You have anything else to add?
Just that this season of Titans is far and away the best season they've had of it.
Oh yeah, 1,000
by quite some distance. I don't know how you feel about it.
I feel like season 2 was a vast improvement from season 1, but season 3 is. I mean, like, okay, let me put it this way. Season 1 was kind of like a 5 for me, which isn't terrible, but isn't that great either. Season 2 was kind of like a 7 for me. And this season's kind of like an 8 or a 9 so far. So, I mean, you can kind of see, I mean, like, and honestly, I mean, season 1 might even be like a 4. I mean, if we're going on that scale, but it's like, I really feel like that they're making strides in the right direction, especially with the team and everything like that. And I really want them to focus on, giving some more things for more characters to do. Especially Superboy. Like the first 4 episodes with Superboy, I really enjoyed him. Like I liked him more. I like this Superboy more than the Superboy in Young Justice. And I love Young Justice. Like, don't get me wrong. But like the Superboy in this one actually is a little bit more endearing than the actual, than other Superboys we've met in the past. So...
All right. Okay. No. That's super. As I said, it's just that when I think of superhero shows on at the moment, this is one of the best of them. I mean, it's between this, Stargirl, and probably Clark and Superman and Lois. Yeah, those are the 3 that I think are really duking it out in my personal opinion. I know that you haven't seen Stargirl, but I know I've said to you that you need to watch that.
I know. I'll get to it. I have it on my list. I promise. I'll get to it. I just got to get through season 1 and then get into season 2. All right. Well, with that all being said, Gary, thank you very much for joining me. You are our DC expert and enthusiast. And this upcoming weekend, we will probably have some wrestling stuff, maybe a wrestling roundtable going on. We're gonna. I think that's really it that we have.
No. We've got that fan film to do.
Well, that's we're recording fan films this weekend.
All right.
Yeah, but they're not coming out. But anyway, so yeah, we got some more projects on the horizon that we're going to be working on this weekend and moving forward. So, So if you've joined us this entire time, thank you very much for joining us. Please don't forget to give us a comment, like, and subscribe. Go check out some of our other stuff. We got TikTok reviews. We've got fan film reactions. We've got reviews. We do Trek, DC, Marvel, Star Wars. Well, I said Star Trek, but I'll say it again because I love it so much. And even just a bunch of other nerd culture things. So if you are down with that, we got 2 words for you. Subscribe, bitches. All right, we'll catch you guys later.